I am a small fish. I am small potatoes. I am not a big name in podcasting and broadcasting or anything else. I'm not even a big name in what I do for a living in software development. I'm a senior person in that, but I'm not a big name. Now, I have over 7,500 video views on Rumble, and I have more than 200 followers there, and more than 3,000 total Rumbles as well. But I still don't hold a candle to those suns that are major entities in the broadcasting and podcasting worlds. I just don't. You've got your Dinesh D'Souza's, you've got whoever on MSNBC or whatever, you've got Dan Bongino and various others. You've got a bunch of people out there who are really big names, and I'm not one of them. But you're going to notice something about a lot of us, and it is that we're going to continue to hammer recurring subjects, typically from different directions, so that you get viewpoints that maybe will hit home. Because I think a lot of people, the way we put things doesn't hit home unless we say it multiple ways so that they see it from different perspectives. And it also gives people more arguing, more talking points, if you will, to use when they discuss things with people. So today we're going to, on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics, by the way, and I'm your host, I'm Kurt, we're going to discuss one of those subjects, and the subject in question is government money. By the way, today is Wednesday, the 31st of March of 2021. It means we'll start a new month tomorrow. Welcome aboard to everybody who's coming on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Thank you for coming aboard today. But I'm going to ask a question. Where does government money come from? Where does it come from? Is it politicians who happen to have a lot of money who are just spending the money, throwing around the money that they have? Well, no, of course it's not. They don't throw around their own money. They don't do that. And by the way, I wouldn't ask them to. That's not how that's supposed to work. So the question is, where does government substance come from? Again, whether it's government cheese or government money is beside the point. It's something that the government is giving to people. And I'm going to suggest some answers to you. And they're very obvious answers, and I think you'll realize them as true when I give them to you. The first of these is higher taxes. When government wants to have more money to give away, it needs to get money from somewhere. And one of the places that it does that is people who are paying taxes, right? That's one of the places that it does that, plain and simple. And I am one of those people. And let me just tell you something. I ain't wealthy, boys and girls. And there are a lot of us out there who are anything but wealthy, who are paying more in taxes because government needs more money to pay people whose programs like stimulus, it's paying money to. It's giving money to. It's a substance of some sort too, right? It needs to get that money from somewhere. I pay more money than actually the government ends up collecting in the long run. So I get a return, but that return is my money coming back to me. And I do that on purpose because I have no interest in being on the bad side of the government in terms of how much money I'm giving them, because I don't want them at some point to say to me, you owe us more money, you deadbeat, pay up. Because they have power that is exceptionally strong to collect that money from me, doing things to me like taking things that I own in the process of trying to get me to pay that money back, which of course is stupidity, because the point is I probably don't have it. Okay? Now, another thing that the government does to get money is take loans. And it's almost always from other governments that they do this. So China is one of America's strongest debt holders. They hold more American debt than almost anybody else. China does this. So we're beholden to China to repay their debt, and we're not doing a good job. I just want you to know that. If you look into the numbers for that, we're not doing a good job. Okay? That's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. And it's a particularly bad thing when we're doing it for money that we know that we can't pay back anytime soon. That's really bad. Obviously, the next thing the government can do is print more money. Now, the thing is, when it prints more money, the people who initially are beneficiaries of receiving that money, whether for doing some kind of work or just because the government wants to subsidize some particular class of individuals doing work or not, the initial people, it actually helps. There's a problem. Then that money gets out into the market, if you will, and suddenly things become worth less money. So that loaf of bread that was $1 is now $2 because they've got 2 times as much currency out in the market as they had prior to printing more money. So literally that loaf of bread goes from being worth $1 to being worth $2. You want to see this in action? Go to the gas pump, which most people actually pay attention to the prices at. You will see it. Obviously, part of that is taxation, but part of it is also the money supply being expanded, and the result of that is inflation. Now, if you put money out there to replace existing money, great. On the other hand, if you put money out there because you know that the goods and services have increased, that's fine. Finally, if you put money out there for which there's nothing to back it, right? No product, no service out there to back it. What you've just done is increase the expense of goods and services as a result. It's just like almost the opposite of what happens when you put more diamonds on the market to the diamond, right? The value decreases. Well, the thing about it is, imagine if you were buying things with diamonds. Guess what? If there's a glut of diamonds, suddenly your diamonds become worth less and you can buy less with them. That's just how that works. It's the same thing for money. If there's a glut of money, suddenly money becomes worth less, and suddenly what you can buy with money decreases, right? So again, your loaf of bread goes from being $1 to $2. Finally, you can take money from other programs. Actually, there are other ways I could probably come up with as well, but these are the ones we're going to discuss today. You can take money from other programs. So if you have defense programs, which the federal government actually is mandated to do, the national defense, you can take that money and you can give it to welfare. And in so doing, you short the national defense and you add to the welfare rolls. And that's about all you accomplish. And that's a short-term solution to a problem. It really doesn't help. Here's what I'm trying to get at. Government is not a producer. They're not a producer. They're a bunch of people sitting around taking one way or another the gain from people who are producers and using it for people, sadly, for the most part, who are not. Or they're using it for things that they're supposed to be supporting, or worse yet, they're using things they're not supposed to be supporting. Okay? This is what's going on. Where does government money come from? Well, it doesn't come from government, not even if you count the printing of it, because in the long run, what happens is that money that's printed is related to some sort of service or product, and the service or product that it's related to loses value every time you print money because there becomes a glut in the money market. Okay, that's what happens. So if you're really wondering where the government gets money to pay for things like stimulus, you need to know that these things that I've listed, future government revenue through higher taxes, loans, printing money, and money from other programs, these are the things that you're going to see that government is typically going to use to, quote, raise revenue. And if you think any of those is a great idea, then you're really sadly mistaken, particularly if you happen to look at what our deficit looks like at the moment, what we can't even pay for now. If you really think increasing what we're doing in spending is going to help, it's going to boost the gross domestic product or whatever. Even if it does, we still have to pay back or count on a reduction in worth of, but we have to pay back the government, or we have to count on a reduction of worth of whatever it is that we're producing. Okay? So people produce something with the idea that they're going to be able to feed their family in that production. And hey, guess what? Suddenly what they're making in that production doesn't do it anymore, so they have to raise the price. It's not really an option at that point. So this is where all of this happens. This is where all of this comes down. And hopefully I've given you a slightly different perspective than I have in past. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I hope that I have. Just know that I'm going to continue to pound this because, in my opinion, this is something that everybody must understand. All right, I'm about out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Today is Wednesday, the 31st of March of 2021. We've been talking about government money today. Tomorrow we're going to talk By the way, it'll be Thursday, the 1st of April of 2021, April Fool's Day for those who do that. I don't. Tomorrow we're going to actually talk on Section 230 again, because we talked about this recently. I really want to cover some conclusions that I came to and discussions that I had with people where Section 230 is concerned. All right, we're having a cool day today. It is that middle of the weekday for lots of folks. I'm not working at this moment, so it's not nearly so important for me. But it is the middle of the week for a lot of folks, and so you're coming up on that weekend fairly rapidly. It always comes too quickly for me. It's kind of cool here. It is spring weather, as one might expect, but it's managed to cool down again and stay cloudy. Hope that you're doing well at the moment, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Wednesday, the 31st of March of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.